Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is a continuation of practical research 2 discussion about research design, sampling, and qualities of a good research instrument. So just going back a little bit, we have already discussed research design in the first sem. And now last week, if I'm not mistaken, we started the quarter by discussing about sampling, different sampling methods and why we do sampling, what are the disadvantages and advantages of using sampling. And then last week, we also discussed two types of sampling, which are scientific and non-scientific. So under scientific sampling, you have unrestricted random sampling, you have restricted random sampling, stratified random sampling, clustering, and then multi-stage, and systematic random sampling. And then for non-scientific sampling methods, we have purposive sampling, quota sampling, and incidental sampling. So today, we are going to talk about the qualities of a good research instrument. So when we say research instrument, it is something that you use in your research in order for you to gather data. Regardless if that data is needed, depende sa paggamit ng data, kung ano man yung data na yan. Because sometimes we need to gather data in order for us to proceed with the methodology, with the conducting of the study proper per se. Like for example, if you're going to study about the quality of the water in a certain municipality, then probably before conducting the research itself, magkakaroon ka muna ng mga maliliit na feasibility studies. So in itself, you are still gathering data, right? So whatever that data is, you are going to use a research instrument for you to be able to gather data. So ang research instrument is a researcher-made instrument such as questionnaires, tests, observation schedule, checklists, rating scales, interviews, and many others used in a research study. So we have 3 qualities of a good research instrument. Actually, marami pang iba, no? But just in this module and just in the book that we are using, we are going to discuss only 3 of the qualities of a good research instrument. And those are validity, reliability, and usability. So first, we have to discuss about validity. So what is validity? Validity means the degree to which a test or measuring instrument measures what it intends to measure. So for example, if it is an experimental research, for example, you are going to measure the pH of a certain water sample, then you are not going to use thermometer for that, right? You're going to use maybe a litmus paper or the digital pH measuring device. You have to know that whatever you are using to measure something, it is indeed a device or an instrument that can measure and that can get you the right data. So in any case, if it's experimental, ang daming standardized na mga devices, no, na ginagamit. Like for example, if it's about temperature, then most probably you're going to use a thermometer. Ang dami ng mga standardized na ganon. I think on the other part, validity is usually really used when it comes to creating your own survey, your own questionnaires, no? Kasi you might not know if I have seen some questionnaires from previous grade 12 students. Sometimes nagsisegue yung mga questions nila within a questionnaire. No, that is because unfortunately we were not able to perform validity test before. That is why sometimes out of 10 questions na nasa questionnaire ng isang bata, kukonti lang yung nagme-make sense, no? Kukonti lang yung totally relevant or related to the study. So validity test is now very important in that aspect because you want to know that each question within your questionnaire will actually give you will give you data that is relevant and useful to your research. The validity of a measuring instrument has to do with its soundness, what the test or questionnaire measures, its effectiveness, and how well it could be applied. So for example, it's not just about, if you are measuring temperature, then we will use thermometer. We have to know whether the thermometer is working, diba? Or if you are going to weigh something, yes, indeed, there is a weighing scale. But then, specifically, what type of weighing scale? Meron yung digital, meron yung analog. And you are going to measure, let's say, elements or maybe maliliit na bagay, particles. So, you cannot, you might think, na baka hindi appropriate yung paggamit ng analog. Better be, you have to use digital weighing scale for that because it is more accurate. Tama man. So, validity of a measuring instrument has to do with its soundness as well. Okay? By and large, no test or research instrument can be said to have a high or low validity in the abstract. Its validity must be determined with reference to the particular use for which the test is being considered. The validity of the test must always be considered in relation to the purpose it serves. So for example, if you are creating a certain mathematical tests na gusto mong i-administer sa, let's say, grade 6 students to check their mental problem solving skills, for example, then you would have to validate that one in relation to your own study, which is about measuring the mental problem solving skills of the grade 6 students. You cannot possibly measure it against, let's say, written calculations. Hindi siya appropriate, no? So kasi mental problem solving skills yung study mo, and then you're going to measure it against the mathematical test that you are doing. Iba-validate mo siya against something about the written calculation. It's not related, no? So again, the validity of the test must always be considered in relation to the purpose it serves. So the extent to which the content or topic of the test is truly representative of the content of the study. This is content validity. So this is a type of validity test. We have actually 4 validity tests here: content, concurrent, predictive, at saka construct. Content validity is again the extent to which the content or topic of the test is truly representative of the content of the study. Just like what I've said earlier, we have had questionnaires before, specifically in qualitative study, no, na nagsisegue or hindi relevant yung tanong. That is why, especially specifically in qualitative study, they got this much information, but then they don't have any, hindi naman any, no, but they have little or less information that they can use on interpreting, during interpretation or analysis that will answer their objectives. Kasi nga, apparently, like 30 to 40% of the questions within the questionnaire are the only ones that make sense. Content validity is we wanted to know if really your research instrument has questions or procedures that will truly represent the content of your study, particularly appropriate for criterion referenced measure. So for example, problems encountered by teachers
You
in
are currently
teaching
the only person in this conference.
K-12. So the researcher will then submit prospect topics to be included in a questionnaire to 5 experts. Minimum, no? Actually, depende sa atin, sa standard ng school, kung ilan usually na experts ang kailangan mag-validate ng isang questionnaire. But last year, if I'm not mistaken, we just require the students to have at least 3. If they are going to create their own research instrument, then they should have at least 3 experts that will validate their questionnaire. So in this specific example, meron siyang 5 experts. So ang mga topics na feeling niya, ay kailangan niyang isali sa kanyang questionnaire are the following: curriculum, theories, brainstorming method, laboratory, project-based. Those are the topics that the researcher thinks, no, na kailangan niyang itanong sa mga teachers para masagot niya itong question niya, which is problems encountered by teachers in teaching K to 12. So for example, in item number 1, suppose, let's say that 4 out of the 5 experts rated 3 and only 1 rated 2. So the weighted mean will be computed as follows. Since 3 ang girate ng 4 na judges or na experts, then you will multiply 4 experts times 3, which is the rate na pinili nila. And then you will add that to 1 expert rating number 2 on the scale. So 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 times 1 is 2. So 14. You have to divide it by the number of frequency, which is 5 experts. So 14 divided by 5. Ang sagot dyan is 2.8 or 3. Therefore, you have to retain item number 1 kasi lampas siya ng 3. But for example, guys, by the way, I forgot to mention the formula. Okay. So, before the reliability tests, dito muna tayo sa content validity muna tayo, So, ating formula is the mean or the weighted mean is equals to the summation of the frequency times the x or the weight or the rate over the summation of the frequency. So you have weighted mean is equals to summation of fx over summation of f. So sabi niya doon kanina, no, merong 3 expert. Sorry, 4 pala. May 4 na experts, okay, for item number 1, May 4 na expert, ang rating nila is 3 at may isang expert na ang rating niya is 2. So for this item number 1, ang pag-solve mo ng kanyang mean will be 3 times 4 plus 2 times 1 divided by how many experts? 5. So that will be 3 times 4, 12, plus 2 over 5 is equals to 14 over 5, or that is 2.8. So, ang 2.8, kung i-round off mo siya, it will be 3. So, since your criteria or your rating is 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 being something or being a rate na tanggalin dapat or hindi relevant yung topic na yun sa iyong research, and going up to 4, which 4 means it is very relevant and important to your research. Ang rating ng item number 1 is 2.8, so probably dito na part, no? Or approximately 3, meaning you have to retain item number 1 in your questionnaire or research instrument. Yun ang ibig sabihin niya. Okay? For example, for item number 2, let's say we have 3 experts na ang rating nila para sa topic na yon, wait lang, let me see what was the topic, theories, okay. For example only, so 3 experts, ang rating nila is 1. Again, this is just an example, okay. And then you have 2 experts na ang rating nila ay 2. So how are we going to get the weighted mean for item number 2? So we are going to x is equals to 3 times 1 plus 2 times 2 over 5 is equals to, that is 3 plus 4 over 5. So that is 7. 7 over 5. And 7 over 5 is what? I don't know. Let me check. 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. Okay, so or 1.4. So andito siya, mahina siya, no? Hindi nga siya umabot ng 1.5 for us to consider that to 2. So mahina siya, therefore, again, only for this example, item number 2, which is theories, ay dapat tanggalin sa iyong research questionnaire. Okay, so this is how content validity works. Now let me just show you because somebody actually asked me before to become a validator, no? Mag-validate ng kanyang questionnaire. And this was a questionnaire validation for somebody who was studying in Davao Doctors College Incorporated, and the title of her research paper is Artificial Intelligence Involvement and Educational Discipline Grades of Grade 11 STEM Students of Davao Doctors College. So as you can see, the researcher asked me to please check the appropriate column corresponding the given rate, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, depende, no? We have already talked about the Likert scale before. I hope you remembered the Likert scale. No, merong iba't ibang klase, merong 1 to 4, which is the example that we have been discussing earlier. 1 to 4 yung kanyang rating scale. Pero meron ding 1 to 5 na Likert scale. So for this specific example that we have here, 1 to 5 ang kanyang rating. So being 1, the item statement is strongly unfavorable, and then up to 5, which is the statement, the item statement is strongly favorable to the concept or indicator. So the red ones, the red ones are my note, yung aking comment about the questionnaire. But as you can see, itong pagpa-validate niya sa akin, syempre, gi-state niya yung problem as, and of course, most importantly, sinabi niya sa akin yung title ng research niya, and then inilagay niya yung kanyang statement of the problem so that I will understand, the context, and I can truly validate whether yung mga inilagay niya na questions dito are indeed a representative of the problem, of the research, di ba? So this is good. And as you can see, I still have some comments there. But naglagay din siya ng definition of terms. Good job. So dito na mag-start yung totoo niyang, what do you call this one? Questionnaire. So the questionnaire starts with the respondent's name, but I think this is hindi required, no? And then section date, and then which of the following artificial intelligence do you use? So the researcher is going to ask the grade 11 students about the artificial intelligence product or platform that they use. And then this is my rating. So of course, I rated that 5. Kasi imagine mo kung hindi pala gumagamit, just imagine if you didn't have this question. No? And you just assume, for example, the researcher just assumed that the grade 11 students are using artificial intelligence, but then they don't. So kung hindi niya tinanong itong first question, all of the rest mean nothing. Kaya nga merong time dati, there was a specific time before, but it's a qualitative research. It's a grade 11 student before. We had a grade 11 student who said, I think the research is about what is the effect of playing Mobile Legends Bang Bang towards the absenteeism ba yun ng mga bata. But then the first question, ang first question ng kanyang questionnaire is that, do you play Mobile Legends Bang Bang? And so it's a yes or no, right? And then apparently yung nakuha niya na respondent is no ang sagot. So lahat ng questions dyan sa baba, wala na siyang wala na siyang silbi. Because yun na nga, no kaagad. So in any case, it doesn't have to do with the content validity per se, but we have to, moving forward, in your batch, we have to try and lessen this type of errors. So meaning you have to have some sort of pre-research na pagkuha ng data. So like for example, if you are going to talk about students who are playing Mobile Legends Bang Bang, you have to know if they really are playing. Kasi kung hindi pala sila naglalaro, what's the point of asking them? Diba? Like, wala ka agad research doon. Or there is also a student before that wanted to study yung proposal niya. She wanted to study the activities. The activities that kasi diba nung face-to-face, ang dami nating activities. Ang dami talaga, like meron tayong Islamic Week, English Days, Math Sci Days, a lot of things, no? So that student specifically wants to know if those activities have an impact on on students who are sociophobic. So hindi na ipasa itong ganitong klaseng research because first of all, how will we know if the students are actually sociophobic? We are not experts. We cannot diagnose somebody who is a sociophobic. And even if we do have an expert that can diagnose students, are we willing to expose the students, diba? No? So those kind of things. So not on the context of content validity per se, but that kind of error in our tawag dito sa paggawa ng ating mga research. So anyway, so that is how you have a content validity. And this one probably lahat ng rating, isa lang kasi ako sa mga expert na binigyan niya nito, probably meron siyang 5. So, or she computed the same thing as this and created the research questionnaire from the weighted mean or the results from the content validity. So that is why sinasabihan ko kayo before, no, na if you are going to use your own research instrument, if you're going to make your own research instrument, then aga-agahan nyo na. Kasi nga, magpapa-content validity pa kayo. Okay? So, dapat maaga. So, probably next week, agad-agad, bigyan nyo na sa akin yung research questionnaire. And then, maghanap na tayo kaagad ng mga expert para mapadala na natin sa kanila. Kasi nga, hindi, yung itong mga experts na ito, busy na mga tao. So, hindi all the time, no, na pagbigay natin sa kanila after a few hours or maybe kinaumagahan, may babalik nila agad sa'yo yung kanilang pag-validate, no? Not exactly. Sometimes it will take days. So, baka dito pa kayo masyadong matagalan. So, again, if you're going to create your own research instrument, then agahan natin kasi nga magpa-validate pa tayo. So that is content validity, and that is how you compute for the weighted mean. Now, we also have concurrent validity. Ang concurrent validity naman is the degree to which the test agrees or correlates with the criterion set up as an acceptable measure. The criterion is always available at the time of testing. For example, a researcher wishes to validate a mathematics achievement test he has constructed. He administers this test to a group of students. The result of this test is correlated with an acceptable mathematics test which has been previously proven to be valid. So, kumbaga ba, meron kang standardized scale or results na kung saan doon mo i-compare yung score na nakuha ng ginawa mong questionnaire. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng concurrent validity. So, just like for example, if there is a study that says 117.75 na IQ is already considered, college level tawag dito na intelligence, no? So, di ba yung mga college students, matatalino naman sila. So, 117.5 ang IQ, college level na daw yan siya na intelligence. And for example, you created an IQ test, okay? And then you wanted to know if the IQ test that you made is actually good. So, you administer this to, for example, college students. And then, for example lang din, ang average na IQ na nakuha nila from this IQ test is, let's say, 118, and that is close to this, right? So, meaning, your IQ test, yung ginawa mong IQ test is good. Because concurrent, no? As you can see, it is concurrent validity because it is similar or malapit sa isang standardized scale na alam natin na totoo or that is proven or validated before. Okay, yun ang ibig sabihin ng concurrent validity. So another example we have here is survey on internet services in Davao City, Philippines. So these are the standard internet speed, 25 Mbps, standard upload speed, 3 Mbps. Pero yung nag-gather natin na data ay mababa. Therefore, concurrent validity, again, it's not good. It's the test that you are doing is probably not good. Okay, whatever test na ginawa mo. So you have to change the test that you are doing. Yun naman ang pinaka-point ng mga validity na ito, no? Content validity, concurrent validity, predictive validity, at saka construct validity. The point is that they wanted to know if it is a valid question, if it's a valid test, if it has anything to do with your research. Yun ang pinaka-main point ng validity. Now, moving on, the third type of validity is predictive validity. It is determined by showing how well predictions made from the test are confirmed by evidence gathered at some subsequent time. The criterion measured against this type of validity is important because the outcome of the subjects is predicted. So, for example, does high school test scores affect college test scores? So, we wanted to know, no? So the criterion measured against which the test scores are validated and obtained are available after a long period of interval. Ito lang yung medyo downside ng kagustuhan natin na i-check ang predictive validity ng isang questionnaire. Hihintayin mo muna. So, ang mangyayari dito, no, ang pinaka-example dito is, if you wanted to know really that the high school test score affect the college test scores, you will have to make a certain test. At ipapatake mo sa kanila noong high school pa sila. And then now, during college, i-check mo ngayon kung probably the same subject, let's say mathematics, let's have to be specific, algebra, kunwari. So, gumawa ka ng algebra na test nung high school pa sila, pinatake mo sa kanila and you have the scores. And then you will wait for their college test scores, algebra din, and then that's the time that you can say that, okay, yung ginawa ko palang test is apparently indeed predictive. Kasi nga, it has a correlation between the high school test scores and the college test scores. Last on the validity quality, we have construct validity. So extent to which the test measures a theoretical construct or trait. This involves such tests as understanding, appreciation, and interpretation of data. So for example, IQ affects math test scores. So going back, no, sabi niya, theoretical construct or a trait or maybe a behavior. So what do you call this one? It's abstract. Hindi siya something na tangible. Okay? So for example, IQ affects math test scores. So one of the what do you call this one? Examples of measuring IQ is using the Safran Culture Reduced Intelligence Test, or that is SCRIT. So for example, supposedly a researcher would like to establish the validity of IQ using Safran Culture Reduced Intelligence Test. He hypothesizes that the higher the IQ, the higher the math test scores, and vice versa. He therefore administers both SCRIT and achievement tests to two groups of students with high and low IQ respectively. If the results show that high IQ obtained high test results and vice versa, then the test result is valid. For example, you have, let's say, 40 students, kunwari lang ha, tas nagkataon na 20 ang high IQ, 20 ang low IQ, for example. Tapos, pinatake niya ng both SCRIT. Pinatake niya, no, ito sila, both nag-take ng SCRIT at ng achievement test or yung test na ginawa niya. And then, it came out that the results are indeed, yung mga high IQ, mataas din, no, ang kanilang average. So, high average din sila. And then, apparently, the low IQ people also have low average. So, indeed, by using this, what do you call this one, validity, it is concluded, or you can conclude that the achievement test that you did is actually, it is construct valid, no, na talagang siya ay nag-measure ng theoretical construct, which is, in this case, IQ and its relation to math test scores. Okay, but most probably, guys, I will only ask you to perform content validity. Again, no, so if you are going to create your own research instrument, then I will only require you to have content validity. Okay? So, hindi na kayo mag-predictive, syempre, no? Hindi na kayo mag-concurrent validity at saka mag-construct validity. Only content validity. Okay? So, moving forward, let's go to the second quality that we have, which is the reliability. So, earlier, we were talking about validity, now, reliability. So, from the word itself, reliable. So, kung reliable pa ang isang research instrument. So, anyway, reliability, it means the extent to which a research instrument is dependable, consistent, and stable. Kaya nga, yung mga standardized tests, they are, or they have been for sure, have undergone reliability tests because they are consistent, and that is why they are standardized. No? Like for example, yung mga ginatake ninyo sa NAT, NCAE, yung mga tawag dito, nationwide na mga tests na pinapa-take sa inyo, all of those things have undergone reliability, and that is why the results from this type of tests can show or are used to interpret the level, the level of the student, kung okay ba sila. Especially on NAT, no? National Achievement Test. Dito nakukuha yung English proficiency ng mga bata, dito nakukuha yung reading comprehension ng mga bata, dito nakukuha yung mathematical skills level ng mga bata. Those results actually show a lot of things about you. At yung mga results na yun ay ginagamit ng ating mga curriculum, yung mga developers ng curriculum ng Philippines. That is why, from dati, naabutan ko pa yung basic education curriculum, hanggang sa, I forgot yung kasunod nito. May kasunod ba? Then transition to K-12. Kaya binabago ang curriculum ng DepEd. Kasi nga, coming from these results, coming from these tests, nakikita natin yung kakulangan, yung deficiency, or maybe yung strength ng curriculum na kailangan pang i-enhance maybe or improve, to tailor fit yung mga bata. Again, you. So that is why all of these things are absolutely have undergone reliability test. Okay, so moving on, the test agrees with itself. It concerns with the consistency of responses from moment to moment. Even if a person takes the same test twice, the test yields the same results. A reliable test may not always be valid, but it is reliable. Again, ang valid, going back to the meaning, ang validity is yung content or yung laman ng questionnaire mo or ng test. It really is a representative of the problem. Ang reliability, wala siyang pakialam kung relevant ba yan sa study mo, but if it is consistent across the board, regardless whoever answers the question, pareho ang sagot or nag-deviate lang ng konti, so ibig sabihin maliit masyado ang variance na, ang variation niya, it is reliable. Okay, yun ang ibig sabihin ng reliability. So for example, if I have a question, this question, who is the last prophet in Islam? If 100% of the respondents answered Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then this question is reliable because iisa lang ang sagot niya. But not all the time, 100% ang nakukuha mo. But it is still reliable for as long as medyo mataas ang nakukuha mo na percentage. Okay? Because for example, let's say, if you're going to ask a question na a car is fast when, okay, this type of question, ang sagot ng isang bata probably is 100 km per hour. Ang isa naman, feeling niya mabilis na pag 70 km per hour. At ang isang bata naman, probably kahit mahina, so joke lang, mabilis na rin ng 60. Okay, 60 km per hour. And then let's say may bata na hindi masyadong alam, feeling niya mabilis na yung 20 km per hour. So hindi, napaka-varied ng responses. And so this item, this question in itself, cannot be reliable for us to find out which car or when is a car considered fast. Diba? So this question is not reliable. Okay, yun ang ibig sabihin ng reliability. Okay, so we have different ways or tests that we can check the reliability of a certain item or a certain test. The first one is that the first one? Let me check. Yes, test retest method. Okay, so number one, we have test retest method. Moving on, so ang test retest method is the same instrument is administered twice to the same group of subjects and the correlation coefficient is determined. Parang isipin nyo na lang, good, I have a summative test. Kunwari, summative test. Okay. At ang summative test ko sa UCSP, kunwari, okay. On the first day, or let's say a certain date 1, whatever that date may be, pinatake ko kayo nitong summative test. And then I recorded all your scores. And then after a week perhaps, or another day, merong isa na namang date, I let you take the same test. Pero siguro gi-jumble ko lang ang items. Pero the same exact test. Now, I will also record the what we call this one, scores. Now, I will check kung nagtaas ba ang mga score ninyo, or is it almost the same? So, if it is almost the same, then it is reliable. Okay, meaning, yung mga tanong na nandoon sa loob ng aking question or ng summative test are indeed reliable. Okay? So, yun ang test retest method. So, what is the formula for test retest method? It's actually Spearman-Rho or RS, and then Spearman-Roy is equals to 1 minus summation of squared differences between the ranks times 6 divided by total number of cases cube minus total number of cases. Okay, so isulat natin dito para hindi ko makalimutan. 1 minus square root of 6d square over n cube minus n. Okay, the Spearman correlation coefficient, or S, can take values from 1, positive 1 to negative 1. So this is actually the interpretation for that. So from 0.00 minus, dito, 0.19, very weak, no? From 0.20, 0.39, weak, 0.40 to 0.59, moderate, strong, positive, strong, very strong. And if you're going to take the negative side of this, then it has a negative correlation. So let's say, for example, no, mag-example muna ako about the interpretation. Let's say, sinabi natin kanina that IQ, or let's say, average in English subject affects average in math subject. Okay, kung isip-isipin lang natin, may point siya, no? Kasi nga, ang ginagamit na language sa pagturo ng mathematics is English. So kung ang bata, mataas ang average niya sa English subject, there is a possibility na mataas din ang average niya sa math. Because probably mas naintindihan niya yung question. Diba? So we can say this. But a negative correlation now, ang negative now means the opposite. Let's say this is X, and this is Y. So pag sinabi natin na pataas ng pataas ang average niya sa English, apparently pababa ng pababa yung sa math. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin ng negative correlation. So, apparently, hindi sila, yun na nga, no? Negative ang kanilang relationship, hindi positive. Ang positive kasi is that, pataas ang grade mo sa English, pataas din ang pataas mo ang grade mo sa math. No? So, that's a positive correlation. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin ng negative correlation. So, anyway, you don't have to exactly, what do you call this one, memorize the formula, pero, just familiarize on the formula. So steps in applying Spearman formula. First, rank the scores from highest to lowest in the first set of administration and mark this as rank 1 or pag-rank mo sa unang time. Rank the second set of scores same as in step 1. Determine the difference in ranks for every pair of ranks and then square each difference to get the square. Then sum the square difference to find the square. So, magbigay tayo ng example, no, para madali. Okay. So, in this part, na napakita niya na ang sagot, pero let's try to solve it on our own. So, first daw, i-rank mo yung unang set ng scores. This is the first set of scores, right? And then, pinatake mo sila ulit the same achievement test. Ito na naman yung scores. Okay, so we have R1 and then we will have R2 later on. So, paano natin to siya i-rank? We are going to rank this by ascending order. Ang pinakamataas na score, bibigyan natin siya ng rank 1. Okay. So, 85. Medyo mahirap siya, guys, kasi nga, hindi Excel ang gamit ko. Pero kung naka-Excel tayo, sort lang natin to ascending order. Bam! No? Madali lang. Pero gagawin natin siya, mano-mano natin siya. So, 85 ang pinakamataas pala. So, 1. Ang sunod ay 83, 2, 81, 3. Anong sunod? 80. Walang 80. 79. Eto. Okay. Guys, magtingin-tingin kayo kung may kapareho siya. Because it changes kung may kapareho siya. 79, walang 78, so 77. Okay. 77, 75. And then we have 74, walang 74, 73, 72, 71. Tama ba? Meron bang iba pang 71 dyan? Okay, wala. Okay, and then we have 70. So, may dalawa tayong 70. So, dapat pareho silang 8, no? Pero ang gagawin natin is 8. Ang kasunod niya 9. So, 8 plus 9 is equals to 17 divided by 2. That is 8.5. So, 8.5 silang dalawa. And then, we have dapat 69, no? Ito. So, since ito sila, nag-share na sila sa 8 at saka 9 na rank, di ba? So, dapat ang 69 is rank 10 na. Saan na tayo? 68, wala. 67, 57, no? So, ito na yung 11. 57, 56, 55. Siya ang 12. 12, 54, 53. So, siya ang 13, 52, 51, ito 14 na pala ito, at tapos siya 15. Okay. So, yun din yung hirap pag mano-mano, guys, no? Kailangan careful kayo. So, next, ito naman ang i-rank natin. So, ang pinakamataas ay, I think, 85 pa rin, no? Okay. So, siya, 83, 82. No. Okay. So, siya na ang second ngayon. And then, 81, 80. But we have 1, 2, dalawang 80. So, mag-share sila sa rank 3 at saka 4. So, 3 plus 4 is 7. Divided by 2 is 3.5. Tama ba? So, 3.5 silang dalawa. Okay. And then, ang sunod ay 79. 75, no? At tatlo ang 75. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So, ang i-share nilang tatlo ay rank 5, 6, 7. Tama ba? So, 5, 6, 7. So, 5 plus 6, 11 plus 7, 18. 18 divided by 3. 6? Okay. Anong sunod? 71? Okay, 71. So, ito na siya yung 8. And then, etong 70, dalawa. So, 9 and 10. 19 divided by 2 is 9.5, no? So, 9.5, 9.5. Wait lang, bakit parang ang dami ng 55? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 4 sila. At pang ilang number na nga tayo, guys? So, kung 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 11 plus 12 plus 13 plus 14 divided by 4. So, lahat sila 12.5. So, 12.5. And then the last one, siya na yung 15. Tama ba? Okay. Hi, finally. Okay, now, let's get the difference. So, ito ay minus mo dito. So, 6 minus 6 is 0. 13 minus 12.5 is 0.5. Tama ba? 15 minus 15, 0. 2 minus 3.5 is negative 1.5. Am I right? Okay. 8.5 minus 6, 0.5, 1.5. Positive. Tama ba? Okay, 0.5, 1.5, negative 1, 0, 0.5, negative 1.5. Tama ba? 3 minus 2, negative 1, 0.5. Negative 1.5, no? Ay, hindi. Positive 1.5. 7 minus 8, negative 1. May something wrong ba ako dito na part? Wait lang nga. I-ano natin. 6 minus 6, 0, 0.5, 0. Okay. Sabi ko na nga ba, may somewhere mali ako dyan. Ito, 0.5, 8.51, 12.5, negative 1, 0, 0.5, okay, 1.5, negative, ay, sorry, hindi pala ito negative. Ay, kuya. We have 14 point, okay. Tama ba? Pero actually, guys, wala namang masyadong difference kung negative dito na part or hindi. Kasi, i-square din natin siya. So, 0 square is just 0. 0.5 square is 0.25. And then, we have 0. 1.5, guys. Ano ang square? 1.5 times 1.5. 2.25. Okay. 2.25. 2.5 square. 2.5 times 2.5. 6.25. 0.5 is 0.25, 1, 0.25, 1, 0, 0.25, 1.5, 2.25, 1, 1.5, 2.25, 1. Now, ito yung ating summation of d square. Tama man? So, i-add natin to lahat. Okay, let me add that with my calculator on that. So, that is 0.25, 2.25, 6.25, plus 2.25 plus 6.25 plus 0.25 and then 1 plus 1 plus 0.25 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0.25 plus 2.25, okay, plus 2.25 plus 1 plus 2.25 plus 1 equals 18. Okay. So, 18 ang sagot natin dito. But guys, hindi pa tapos ang lahat. Ay, natabunan ko ang ano, ang formula. Well, anyway, ang formula kasi natin, di ba, is RS is equals to 1 minus 6 summation of D square N cube minus N. Okay, so 1 minus 6 times 18, kasi ito yon, di ba? Ito yung summation of D square. N cube, ilan ang ating students? Sorry, respondents, 15. So, 15 cube minus 15 is equals to, so 6 times 18, calculate. 6 times 18, 108, divided by 15 cube minus 15, 3360. Okay, so 108 divided by 3360, yan, 1 minus 0. What? 0321 or 2857 14. Actually, pwede nyo naman yan i-round off, guys. So, ang RS talaga natin is equals to 1 minus and equals to 0.968 kung i-round off natin. And 0.968, ano ang ano yan? 0.9, 0.9. Attached siya, no? Very strong. And it's a positive, it is a positive correlation and very strong ang relationship. So, meaning, Spearman-Rao computation of the first and second administration of achievement test in computer. So, the achievement test in computer is indeed reliable using test-retest method. Well, what do you call this one? But there are also ways to do this in Excel, of course. Pinakita ko lang sa inyo ang manual because it is really good to know the manual solution, no, for these kind of things. Magandang practice, kumbaga pa. Hindi yung magdiretso ka kaagad sa mga automated, no, na mga tools like Excel. And actually, sa Excel, it works different ways as well, no? And sometimes magtataka ka, bakit iba yung nakuha ko teach sa nakuha sa manual? Maybe that is because you have used a wrong formula na pre-programmed sa loob ng MS Excel. So, it is really good that you know how to calculate these things manually. So, anyway, guys, we have seriously no time at all. Actually, late na ata kayo for us, sir. So, next time, inshallah, I will be tackling the rest of the reliability tests, which are parallel method. Sorry, meron pa palang split half method at saka internal consistency, if I'm not mistaken. Asan na yung internal consistency? This one, yan. Internal consistency method, which is far more complicated than the test-retest method. Actually, test-retest na yung pinaka-simpleng reliability test. So anyway, thank you so much for attending the class today. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.